welcome everybody. Welcome. That was a lovely rendition of a Charlie Brown Christmas from our University of Findlay Jazz Ensemble Band. My name is Julie Klingler. I'm the director of the Wolf Center for Alumni, Parents, and Friends. It's so good to see everybody on the call today. On behalf of over 25,000 alumni living all over the world, it's my pleasure to welcome you to our first ever Oiler Nation Home for the Holidays event. It's exciting to see so many wonderful folks here this evening. We've got a couple hundred people planning to join us today, and so we are so grateful to have each and every one of you. Thank you for joining us. Whether you're a loyal UF supporter, an alum, a UF parent, or if you're new to us, we're glad that you're here. It certainly has been a challenging year. And even though most of us are celebrating safely and smaller this year, we're just really pleased that we could find a way to still connect with you during this holiday season. Tonight, we want to take you down Main Street in Findlay, Ohio. And for our alums, that means going back to the university where so many of your great memories were made. Tonight, we're going to hear holiday music from the university's bands and choirs. We will experience some holiday reflections from two renowned UF faculty members. And we're going to see what's baking in President Fell's kitchen with Dr. Fell, Mr. Fell, and everyone's favorite, Derek the Oiler. So in a minute, I'm going to introduce you to our lovely host, Olivia Weil. But first, I just want to cover a couple of things quickly about our webinar. So we want to make sure that you make the most of this fun virtual event. So if you go down to the bottom of your screen, you'll see a chat button down there, and we encourage you to use that chat feature. So we want you to interact and reconnect with your friends and really have a lot of fun with that chat. Also, make sure that you have a good display name for prizes. We will want your first and last name for that. We will have holiday trivia questions tonight and a special swag giveaway at the very end of our program. So that swag bag includes treats from Shirley's Popcorn, Fort Findlay Coffee, Deech's Candies, plus a beautiful holiday ornament to hang on your tree. So stay with us. We'll do that at the very end. You have to be present to win though, so hang in there with us. We will do that, like I said, at the end of our presentation tonight. So now let's get started. And so without further ado, I'm going to introduce our host, Olivia. So Olivia Weil is a multimedia journalist and reporter for Spectrum One News. She graduated from the University of Findlay in 2020. And while she was here, she was very active on our campus. She was the head editor of our student newspaper, The Pulse, as a sophomore, and she was vice president of UFTV as a senior. She was also a member of the Oilers swimming and diving team, and now since graduating, Olivia's been extremely busy with her career. She's also recently been a guest speaker for UF's communication department. So welcome, Olivia. How are you this evening?
Hello, Julie, and hello, everybody. It is so good to be back at the University of Findlay, even just virtually. And I want to say a big welcome to friends, family, and alumni. And we have a great program lined up for you tonight. And we are going to kick things off with the University of Findlay's Symphonic Band and Wind Ensemble. And they will be performing a traditional and welcoming song, Come All Ye Faithful. And this is going to be directed by the director of UF Bands, Wes King. them. A round of applause for that. And I think that it's so cool to see how bands and choirs and all of the typical, musical and theater performances are having to adapt to the pandemic. That was awesome. A big shout out to our students. And that song was written in the mid 1700s, and it was originally written in Latin, and it has since been translated into more than 100 languages. So now I am going to turn it over to Dr. Louis Stulman. Dr. Louis Stulman is the professor of religious studies at the university. He earned his PhD in Hebrew Bible from Drew University and has done postdoctoral work at the University of Michigan. I don't know about anyone else, but that was a bummer not to see that game this last weekend, OSU versus Michigan, but we will put that past him. And Dr. Louis Stulman is a prolific author and is a world-renowned expert on the Old Testament's book of Jeremiah. And he and his wife, Kate, have 4 adult children and 4 grandkids that they can't wait to see in 2021. So now here are some holiday reflections by Dr. Louis Stulman.
Hi, everyone. So good to be with you. My name is Louis Stulman, and Julie asked if I would share a few words about Christmas, which I'm, of course, delighted to do. As some of you know, I've had the opportunity to teach courses in Judaism and Christianity at the university for many years, so I often get a chance to talk about Hanukkah and Christmas. I love sharing the various ways in which these joy-filled festivals give us hope and a sense of beauty and meaning. Jewish families light the menorah candles, they spin the dreidel, give gifts, and recall God's wondrous miracles of old. Christians celebrate the birth of Jesus, of course, decorate the tree, give gifts, and gather with loved ones. Both holidays are such wondrous occasions, as is Kwanzaa, another festival of life celebrated this time of year. But this is 2020, and everything is different. The pandemic has changed the way we work and play and attend school and do just about everything. Many of us haven't seen or hugged our loved ones in months. Some have lost jobs and homes and had their lives upended. Some are struggling to make ends meet. Food lines in some states are as long as COVID testing lines. Many have been sick, and over 250,000 people have died in our country alone. How can anyone wrap their mind around such human suffering? James Baldwin, the great African-American poet and novelist, said, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." I think we know that Christmas 2020 won't be like Christmas past. Just too many breaking points, too much loss and heartache, fear and isolation. Our neighbor, a kindergarten teacher, who I think is one of the most upbeat people we know, said in total exasperation, "I can't wait until 2021. Another good friend of mine wrote yesterday, "Although I don't like wishing away time and life, I must admit that I will be thankful to see the end of 2020. How many of you have said that one time or another this year? Students, I know, are resilient, but many have struggled this past semester. Already I've heard people say, the holidays just seem out of place this year. Christmas just doesn't have enough space for grief. Well, let me assure you, this is not the case. Christmas is indeed joyful, we all know that, but it has plenty room for our grief and our struggles. One of my students, I think, realized that this past semester. She said, "I've heard the classic Christmas story since I was young, about baby Jesus, the wise men, angels, and heavenly choirs, and the star pointing the way to the baby. However, I never paid much attention to a brutal king who feigned loyalty but had murder on his mind. I was never told about Herod killing the children in Bethlehem, echoing the story of Moses and the children of Israel who also suffered in Egypt under a brutal ruler. Indeed, the first Christmas, as told in the book of Matthew, is fraught with danger and conflict. Far from being a time of peace and tranquility, it bristles with fear, brutality, and yes, grief. In the midst of this wondrous moment, the birth of Jesus, there is palpable sadness, as we can see in a poem, actually a lamentation first voiced by the weeping prophet Jeremiah. A voice was heard in Ramah, which is a village north of Jerusalem, wailing and sobbing, Rachel crying for her children beyond comfort because they were no more. Right in the middle of the Christmas story is Rachel, the mother of Israel, whose story is first told in Genesis, heartbroken, devastated, refusing to be comforted, grieving for her lost children, those lost at war first in the 8th century to the Assyrians, and then in the 6th century BC in Babylon, and those murdered by Herod, the so-called Great. And Mother Rachel in this poem grieves across generations to those bereaved in 2020, for all God's children, those lost to the virus, those who died at the hands of human brutality and neglect, all of God's children. Far from closing the door on our vulnerabilities, this season opens its arms to embrace us in our pain as well as our joy. Rejoice with those who rejoice, and weep with those who weep, the scriptures urge us. As you know, Emmanuel, the name given to Jesus at his birth, means God with us. And I'll conclude by saying, if I may, that God is with us even in 2020, in all its toils and snares. I'll even venture to say that Christmas and Hanukkah may be just what we need to navigate and survive this challenging year. May you all have a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and a healthy and wondrous New Year.
Thank you, Dr. Stulman, for that message. And I think we all can agree that 2020 has definitely had many challenges, but it'll be great to see 2021 come and hopefully bring us some hope, some light, and allow us to reconnect with people that we haven't been able to since the pandemic. And that's what we are here to do tonight, is to connect, even if just virtually. And now I'm going to pass it back to Julie to do some trivia with you all.
Yes, Olivia, we've got some fun trivia planned. And so I'm going to go ahead and launch 3 different questions. The first one is a trivia question about Christmas songs. So the first one is, and you should see this on your screen. So please respond, everybody. How many gifts were given in the 12 days of Christmas song? So go ahead and answer. Oh, there we go. We've got good answers. All right. And I see that they've got, they have number 2 on the screen as well. The movie Miracle on 34th Street is based on real life department store. Please weigh in. Tell us what that one is. And then the last one is, which country did eggnog come from? So we're going to give everybody just a little bit more time to answer those questions. And everybody's weighing in. And they're just, gosh, it seems like everyone's changing their answers a little bit. What do you think, Olivia? What do you think the answer is for number 1? How many gifts in total were given?
You almost tricked me, Julie, because when you hear the 12 days of Christmas, you're like, oh, obviously 12, but there's not just 12 gifts because they layer. So you almost got me on that one.
Right, I know, it is. It's tricky, right? So It's actually, the correct answer is 364. So that's a lot. It's probably a lot more than some people imagined. And then for the second one, the movie Miracle on 34th Street is based on the real life department store. And which department store is that? And it's overwhelmingly, the Macy's got it. So that's great. That is the correct answer. I thought for sure somebody might say one of the older, one of the other older ones, but of course I had to throw Target in there for just to throw some people off. We know it's definitely not Target, but I was wondering if anyone would go for Lord and Taylor or Marshall Field. And then finally, which country did eggnog come from? This is interesting. We've got quite a few that said Germany as well as England. Those were the top two. Which one do you think it is, Olivia?
I want to say Germany, but I'm not sure either.
It's actually England.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, okay. So those were our polls, and that is. I will go ahead and share the poll results with everybody. And so there's your answers, and that's good. I think our viewers are pretty good on trivia when it comes to the holidays, actually.
Yeah, at first click, I would have been in the 16% that said 12 gifts. So in that one. And so are we ready to turn it over to Dr. Fell?
Yes. So yes, whenever you are, go right ahead, Olivia. I'll just hand it back over to you.
Okay. All righty. Okay, so this next segment is a super fun one. So as all of you know, Dr. Catherine Fell has served as the president of the University of Findlay since 2010, and she is definitely known for her deep commitment to students. I would see her around campus all the time, and that warm smile was always really nice. And she's also known for respecting the university's culture, and she is going to be joined this evening by her husband, Mr. Roger Fell, and everybody's favorite mascot, Derek the Oiler. And let's see what's baking over on Main Street in Findlay.
Thank you, Olivia, for that warm welcome. And thanks to all of you for tuning in today. Alumni, parents, students, and friends, we're happy to be here with you virtually so that we can celebrate the holidays together, have some fun, and thank you for your support of the University of Findlay. 2020 has certainly had its challenges, but we are Oiler strong, and today we're going to make some Oiler Nation holiday cookies. We'll begin with the recipe that you have available to you, and you may already have your cookies prepared and decorated. Send me pictures. I'd be interested to see them. Here's the Oiler Nation cookie dough rolled nicely. We're going to start with a Derek cookie cutter, of course, and I'm happy to have Derek himself here to help. We cut, we transfer to the baking sheet, spread apart the way you already know how to do, I'm sure. Move it to the oven, 400 degrees, 6 to 8 minutes. And then we have before us beautiful, plain Derek cookies. Now the fun part starts. We turn them into beautiful decorated cookies. My children and I used to try this, but not with as much success as Chef Elias, I'll be willing to admit. In fact, my daughter asked me if I'd ever really decorated a cookie before. And I said, well, not well, but I'm learning. I'm still learning, lifelong learning. We're going to start with some orange icing because it is, after all, Oiler Nation. And I'd like for my cookies to match Derek's mask. Isn't that pretty? So there we go. And eventually we add all the good stuff, sprinkles and fun things. And with the result of beautiful holiday cookies, as you can see. Thank you again to Chef Elias, who really knows how to make this happen and who really did make it happen. And a thanks to all of you for watching us, and I hope succeeding in your own baking this evening. Happy also to introduce Roger, who is famous for many things, but particularly this time of year, for his holiday peanut brittle. Roger's going to talk a bit about the process of making that peanut brittle each year. All yours.
Thank you. Well, normally right after Thanksgiving, I start making peanut brittle, and it's a process. I've been doing it for years and years. I got the recipe from my aunt, and when she died, I started doing it. And when we moved to Findlay, I got carried away, I think, with it. It's a fairly simple recipe, but when you make 400 pounds of it, then it gets to be, a big process. Anyway, it's I remember it as 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 cup of boiling water, 2 cups of Karo syrup, light corn syrup, 3 cups of sugar, and 4 cups of peanuts. It fits nicely in a 4-quart saucepan. Put the sugar, the water, and the syrup in the saucepan, stir it up, and cook it till it gets to 240 degrees, which is, takes, 10 or 15 minutes to get there. At 240 degrees, you add the peanuts, and then cook it until it's 295. The recipe, you need to stir it regular. You don't have to stir it constantly, but if you don't stir it and it gets hot, it'll burn, it'll scorch. So it needs to be stirred pretty regularly, especially as it approaches 295 degrees. At 295 degrees, then I add a half a teaspoon of soda and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then mix it all up, and then it bubbles. And then it'll fill the pan. Then you pour it out on a cookie sheet, or I use baking pans that we have here. And you can, with the large baking pans, you can get the whole thing in one pan. The pan needs to be greased a little bit. I usually use spray canola oil, so it'll come up without sticking too badly. And then let it cool there. And as it cools, you stretch it. Go around the edges, kind of twisting it and turning it. And then as it cools, then sometimes I have to fight it depending on the humidity, but you get it loose from the cookie sheet or the pan, and then stretch it out, and then I put it out on this bar, and like yesterday we had like 12 sheets of this stuff out here on the bar. And then when it's completely cool, then I just break it up, and put it in these little boxes. It comes out just, whatever size you want. You can break it up any size you want, but I usually do it that way. I weigh them, and then there's about 10 ounces of candy in each box, and we hand them out at the Christmas party. So the thing I miss most about, this year is the Christmas party, because it's my favorite event of the year, I guess, here at the house, because it is full of people, it's lots of fun, and I get to give away candy. So that's what we do.
Thank you for joining us this evening. I hope your Christmas is wonderful, and that however you celebrate the holidays, that you do it with safety and goodwill. Thank you.
All right, that was awesome. We kind of got a 2-for-1 there. We got the sugar cookies, and then we got the famous peanut brittle. So that was awesome. And we hope some of you were following along or have already made some cookies with your Euler cutout. And we were made aware today that some of you have not received those cutouts, and we do apologize. Shipping has just been really overloaded this year with people wanting to send more things since they're not traveling. So we do apologize, and we hope that you guys do get those soon. So let's turn it over and kind of listen to some more music. So I did talk about earlier how challenging this year has been for bands, choirs, theater because of COVID-19. And you will see in just a minute, the UF Choir has got very innovative in how they are performing. And they, along with the Findlay Civic Choir, under the direction of Dr. Young, will be performing the Carol of the Bells.
Hark how the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say, throw cares away. Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, meek and the bold. Ding dong, that is their song. Bring joyful ring, all caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they pound, raising the sound, for hill and dale, telling and tale. Gaily they ring while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. On they send, on without end, their joyful tone to every home. Hark how the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say, throw cares away. Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, meek and the bold. Ding dong, that is their song. With joyful ring, all caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they pound, raising the sound, for hill and dale, telling their tale. Gaily they ring while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. On they send, on without end, their joyful tone to every home.
On they send, on without end, their joyful tone to every home.
Ding dong, ding dong.
That was awesome. The U of Choir should be really proud of that. That was really cool. It's so neat to see how people are being so innovative virtually, and that was awesome. I can't even imagine how many layers that took to make that song. So great job to the U of Choir. And now it's time for some more holiday reflections. This time it will be from Dr. Shawn Graves. Dr. Graves currently serves as Associate Professor of Philosophy. I had Dr. Graves in class, actually, and he has been very busy publishing different academic articles. He also contributes chapters to and co-edits projects for a variety of prestigious publications. And Dr. Graves and his wife, Marlena, have been married for 20 years and they have 3 great daughters together. And here is Dr. Graves for some more holiday reflections.
Merry Christmas and happy holidays. I'm Shawn Graves, Associate Professor of Philosophy. On Christmas Eve back in 1967, Martin Luther King Jr. opened his sermon to the congregation at Ebenezer Baptist Church with these words: "This Christmas season finds us a rather bewildered human race. We have neither peace within nor peace without. Everywhere paralyzing fears harrow people by day and haunt them by night. 53 years later, we're in the same spot. And now, as much as then, we need to hear what King calls the Christmas hope, that refrain from the choir of angels announcing the birth of Jesus to those marginalized outcasts, the shepherds. Peace on earth and goodwill toward all. And now, as much as then, we need to hear King's prescription for realizing this hope. A relentless and unyielding universal love, an enduring love that sweeps up friend and stranger and enemy alike. We need, as King puts it in that sermon, understanding, creative, redemptive goodwill toward all people, an overflowing love which seeks nothing in return. The love of God operating in the human heart. In my research and in my teaching, I focus a great deal upon this love, its connections to justice, and its implications for how we should live our lives as individuals and as a society. Loving our local and global neighbors means that we strive and we strain to see to it that things go well for them, that we improve their welfare, that we pursue what King calls the beloved community, where we are bonded together, wrapped up with each other in union, experiencing social integration and cooperation for the benefit of all, without exception. King reminds us, if there's to be peace on earth and goodwill toward men, we must finally believe in the ultimate morality of the universe, and believe that all reality hinges on moral foundations. Christ came to show us the way. In that lowly manger, in that small agricultural village of Bethlehem, beneath the sweat and the smile of that teenaged mother, we catch a glimpse of the opening brushstrokes of that divinely crafted portrait of love. We encounter the one who came to show us the way. In closing, I want us to go back even further, to December 28th, 1952, to hear what a 23-year-old king asked the congregation at Ebenezer Baptist Church. What is Christmas going to do for us in terms of changed attitudes and better social conditions? Will Christmas mean just another item on our social calendar? Or will it mean a new life and new attitudes resulting from our encounter with Christ? My hope is that this season, each one of us takes on a new life of love and new attitudes oriented toward that beloved community, that we strive for better social conditions for each one of us, without exception.
That was another great holiday reflection. Dr. Graves is just so full of knowledge. Thank you for that video, Dr. Graves. And that is going to be the end of my time hosting for all of you. I want to say thank you for sticking around, and we hope that you had a fun time with us tonight. And it's always great to be back in the presence of some Oilers. My time at the university did come to a close much sooner than I would have wished it to in 2020, but I'm very thankful to be here tonight, and thank you all again.
Olivia, thank you so much for being here. Don't leave us yet, though, because I may need your help in giving away some swag. So at this point of the program, we want to give away our swag bag with all of our great UF swag in it. Again, there's Fort Findlay coffee, there's Deech's candy, there's Shirley's popcorn, and some other really great things, including a beautiful University of Findlay ornament to hang on your tree. So what we've done is we've taken our guest list, we've shuffled it around, and I'm going to call out a name. And what I'd like for you to do, if you're on the call and I call your name, type in the chat that you are here, and I'm going to actually open that chat window. So I'm going to call a name. If you're here, write in the chat, I am here, and then I will stop. But if I don't see that, I'm going to go on to the next name. So the first name we have to call is Holly Strong. Holly, are you here on the call? And if you are, write in the chat. And I don't see Holly. Do you see Holly, Olivia?
I don't, but I'm also a little bit technologically inept, so you might have a better shot at this than I do.
Okay. Well, I don't see her. We're going to go to the next name. So I see on the next name on the list is Kara Demuse. Kara, are you on the call today? Oh, she says
Yay!
she's. Woohoo! All right, Kara, we are going to be contacting you. We will use the contact info that you used for your registration, and we will reach out to you and make sure you get that swag bag. We will probably put it in the mail here in a day or two. And God willing, that shipping situation works out so that it gets to you quickly. And but yeah, I just want to thank everybody for being here today. That was fun. I'm glad we were able to give away some great swag. So for all of us, from all of us here at the University of Findlay, I would like to thank you all for being here, especially thank my host, Olivia, but thank each and every one of you. We are so pleased that you joined us this evening, tonight for our time here. We had so much fun bringing you all these different elements of our experience with the University of Findlay. To all of those of you who have previously supported the university in any way, we thank you for your gifts. Your generosity ensures that UF students continue to receive the level of excellence that they deserve. If you enjoyed our event and would like to make a gift, please visit give.findlay.edu. And while you're on our website, check out our alumni webpage. We've added some new things where you can refer a future Oiler or read about our new alumni tuition discount. And you can also see our entire upcoming schedule of 2021 virtual events. So now at this point in the program, I'd like for you to stay with us and enjoy the first Noel, which is going to be performed by UF's Symphonic Band and Wind Ensemble and conducted by the Director of Bands, Wes King.